Good evening, guys, and happy Tuesday to all of your sunshiny faces. So, as I think I mentioned to you guys in yesterday's vlog, I was gone pretty much. Well, I woke up 7 o'clock. I think I got up at 7:30 this morning. We needed to leave by 8:30 this morning because we had, again, errand stuff that we had to run until about 5 o'clock this afternoon. So I was gone pretty much all day, and I was sitting all day. And on top of that too, my bruised tailbone did not appreciate that today. Which thankfully though, it is definitely feeling much better. Like, at least, like, I still can't believe that I did that. I also too really can't believe that it's been bothering me like this long. Like, again too, you get like a bruise on your arm or whatever, or your leg and stuff like that, and honestly too, for so many times, especially when I was little, where I'd wind up with bruises, like, you know, from playing outside in the backyard and winding up running into like something or, you know, whatever. And like, I wind up with a bruise. I totally forget where I end up getting it from, and then I wouldn't notice it until I ended up like poking it, or, you know, end up running into something else, and then end up, you know, being like, oh, ow, that hurt. Oh, there's a bruise there, you know, sort of thing. Yeah, and then, you know, like I said, it's just, that's a different kind of, you know, it's there because you're constantly sitting on it, and it's, you know, definitely noticeable. So, like I said, that was not fun today. So anyways though, we ended up getting back home, and I actually, guys, though, I told you how I was like, oh, you know, I'm not going to get to dishes and laundry and editing and uploading. I uploaded this morning, and I also did dishes while I was waiting for my breakfast to cook. And then when I came back home tonight, I ended up actually editing. So I did get to everything today, except for sort of laundry, although I did unload the dryer partially. Like some of the big stuff that was in there, because it was actually bedding. So I unloaded some of that, but I ended up not like washing anything or like going through like the laundry baskets and stuff like that. But that's not something that's super huge, just because normally we don't have a ton of clothing that like winds up getting dirty. A lot of times it always seems like it's more dishes anyway. So either way, I did wind up pretty much getting to everything today still that I needed to stay on top of things, instead of, you know, like falling behind, which I was completely anticipating that for yesterday. I was like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, again, wind up needing to catch up on everything on Wednesday, and I don't need to. It's just going to be regular pretty much amount of things that I have to do tomorrow anyway. The only thing is that I did not wind up doing like grocery lists today. I didn't clean the bathroom, which is normally always my Tuesday chore sort of that I've made, and then like cleaning the kitchen and like is the next day. Then I do the living room on Thursdays, but like I said, I don't end up getting to that, and on top of that too, doing the grocery list. So I didn't do anything really on Monday or Sunday either, as far as like Meijer and Walgreens goes. Normally I wind up doing those on like at least by Monday, and I didn't do that. And then I didn't do any of the other grocery shopping lists today, so I'm like 2 days behind sort of with that. So unfortunately tomorrow I'm gonna have to probably spend making most of my grocery list, which is normally when I just spend doing Jewel. So like I normally have a day sort of where I do each different grocery store list that I end up making, and since I haven't done anything, it's probably going to be just, like I said, a whole pile of all the stuff that I'm going to have to do tomorrow as far as that goes. But like I said, at least I'm not behind with like anything else really. But when I did get back home, I ended up sort of just like watching TV. Me and my mom actually got Chipotle for lunch, and then we ended up getting Dairy Queen for dessert. Like when we were actually coming back home, we ended up stopping and getting Dairy Queen. But when we came back home, I was watching the Cubs game. Like I said, that's when I was editing. And one of the other things that I was doing was I was sort of just, Matthew actually shared with us one of his friends from like his fraternity has this huge like collection of like records. I know that I had shared with you guys for Christmas that I got a record player, and that I have like a small little box full of records. However, I feel like I have some jazz records, which I really love. I like listening to jazz records, but I don't have, other than I have a Fleetwood Mac's like greatest hits like album, and that's normally the one that I wind up playing. Like if my mom's like, oh, why don't you get your record player out, and like we're all on the back porch or something like that, just because it's like good sort of like I want to say sort of like party music, sort of, you know, like it's like, you know, a little bit more upbeat, but it's not like too like club music, you know, like that whole kind of thing. You know, like it's not too like, you know, it's just like I said, like good, like sort of like oldies like music. I don't really have any other records that are sort of like that, where it's like good like listening music, sort of like, you know, like I said, like that, I don't know, sort of good music. And so like I said, like the jazz music's good and stuff like that, but like Matthew and like, I don't know, my dad, Jack, even sometimes a little bit, like, you know, like I said, it's just not really like super like, you know, if we're all having a really good time outside, like jazz music's just sort of like, you know, almost like background music sort of, but like a little bit more party music. So anyways, I was sort of looking around at like a couple of other like, you know, bands or musicians that I would get like a greatest hits album from. So I was trying to look around on eBay, and honestly guys, it's expensive to buy records. My mom actually found a lot of really good ones for me that she got for Christmas, and I don't really know what she ended up paying for some of them. They were all like really good, you know, like I said, like albums. There's just a lot of like jazz music, which like I said, I personally really love, and that's sort of the music that I like. But like I said, I like to have it when I'm playing it like sort of for everybody. I sort of want, again, some of that a little bit more like just fun, again like upbeat sort of music. I don't really have anything like that, so that's when, like I said, I was looking around for that kind of stuff, and looking on eBay like at some of these ones, it was, like I said, just sort of expensive. Like I feel like I could probably find some things like cheaper at, like, you know, if I really ended up finding like a good find at like a Goodwill or something like that, where I did wind up getting a couple of decent records from also. But I've never really been to, I do know, at least I've heard, that places like used bookstores and stuff like that a lot of times do wind up carrying like records, but like to like a record store or something like that, where I just feel like on top of that too, like for shipping and all that kind of stuff, and just knowing what you're going to get too, instead of like, again, buying something and then finding out that like it doesn't actually play, you know, or like whatever it is, like, you know, this way, if you're going somewhere that's sort of, again, a little bit more reputable, other than just buying things like online. Which again too, like, again, there's not, you know, you still have like return policies, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, again too, you can always check to see what people's reviews are and stuff like that. But just knowing that like I can see the physical product before I actually buy it, and, you know, it's like something tangible that I can actually hold before I buy it. Like, I just personally like that. I like that with like clothing especially. Like I hate buying clothing online. Like, I want to know what something feels like, what it looks like, the, you know, the actual fabric. Like, you can read about like, oh, it's made out of this fabric or whatever, but then you realize that it's sort of more of like a blend, or, you know, like, again, there's something, you know, like it's just really like a cheap material or something like that, and like it's not like, again, like quality, or again too, you know, like pictures completely don't do whatever you end up buying justice. So like I said, that's why, like, clothing especially, I hate buying online. But I really too, and just for the experience, want to go somewhere where I can actually like buy records in person. And like I said, other than really sort of Goodwill, I've never really had that experience of being able to actually, like, you know, like go and like look for records, where, like I said, I feel like some of the stuff, especially like, because again, I feel like people find good records at like a place that sells them cheaper, like, again, a Goodwill, a thrift store, a used bookstore, whatever it is, and then they wind up jacking the price up like on eBay, because they know that people are trying to find it, and that you'll find it on eBay, or again online, wherever, you know, like online resellers. And you know, like I said, then the price is like crazy expensive a lot of times, because people are trying to make a profit on that. A lot of times it seems like it's rarely actually ever like a collector looking to sort of sell their collection. Or again to just people that had a bunch of random records and are trying to sell them, and aren't trying to, like, again, sort of, again, like, I understand too, like, obviously it's also like competitively priced and stuff like that as well, but on top of that too, like, sometimes I look at it and I'm like, okay, well, this person says that it's sealed in the package. This other person is all like dinged up, like, you know, it's definitely used. It's, you know, like very, you know, just again, like well used sort of things, and you can tell that from the picture, but they have it for the same price because that's what all of them are going for. So you can still charge for that because you still have to pay that even if you're buying like the really good one. So once the really good one sells out, if you still want it, you can buy it, but you have to pay the same price. Like, just a lot of times it seems like, again, a lot of this stuff seems fairly overpriced. And like, again, not all the time, but sometimes just looking at some resellers, like I said, just a lot of that stuff seems pretty expensive. And so like I said, that's why I'm not, like, you know, especially too when I look at it and I'm like, okay, well, instead of getting it as like a vintage vinyl, like I could go to Target and get a brand new one, knowing that I'm getting something that's not going to possibly be broken or going to break in the mail, or, you know, like whatever, for the exact same price, probably even cheaper. Like, and again too, it's that whole, like, some of them, yes, are vintage and that's what you're paying for, but it just seems like sometimes, again, things wind up being more money than what I could spend for something else that, again, I could find like a resale store, like physical store, or again to like at a Target or Walmart or something like that that do sell actual new records. And like I said, again, not vintage, but still, if I'm looking for it just because I don't care if it's vintage or not, and I just want it because I want to have some more variety in my collection, to me that's not what the big deal about it is, whether it's, you know, vintage or not. It's just I want to have the music, you know. And so that's why I'm more of a, like I said, just wanting to have it than, you know, and spending that much money on it. So like I said, I don't know, I'm sort of like, I want to try and find other places where I can find records. Just want to try and find, or, you know, some of the stuff a little bit cheaper. Like I said too, I've seen good records at, like, you know, again, Goodwill, resale stores and things like that for cheaper than what I'm seeing like as eBay's price. And again too, that including shipping and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't have to pay for that if I find it there. So like I said, I'm sort of wanting to look around at, you know, some of those places, like a, you know, like I said, other used bookstores and things like that, and try and, you know, find some good stuff. But again, that's what I've been sort of looking for, and, you know, like things like that. And again too, every once in a while I'll find something on eBay where I'm like, oh wow, that's actually a really good price and that's really cheap or whatever, like, you know, that's actually, or again too, competitively priced with, you know, some of the other things. Sometimes, like I said, some stuff is just like, there's nothing, it's not like it's signed by the artist or something like that, but it still seems like the price is just really expensive. Especially too, I know right now, because all of a sudden vinyl is like, you know, just like the new thing, like, you know, even though it's so old, but, you know, it's a new hip thing to listen to everything on record now again. And so that's why I feel like, you know, everybody that's trying to buy up the stuff that they find in retail stores, then selling it on eBay and online and, you know, that kind of stuff, because people are going to pay for it online versus going out and trying to find it. Whereas I'd rather try and go out and find it and see what I can get. And like I said too, I'd rather be surprised with, like, you know, there's so many options out there of all kinds of different stuff that I listen to, that I'm like, I'd rather just go to, like, again, like find something at like a used bookstore or again a resale store or something like that, and be surprised by what I end up getting, than being like, okay, well, I guess I'll settle for this because, you know, it was like the cheapest thing on that I could find on eBay right now, or, you know, again, in what I would want to pay or price range or whatever, you know, that kind of stuff, versus again just being surprised by what I ended up actually finding at a resale store, which is why I love resale stores and, you know, like thrift shopping and stuff like that, because it's a surprise. You don't know what you're getting. Whereas I feel like too on eBay, it's like there's too many options. I have too many different genres of music that I like to listen to, too many different eras of music that I like to listen to, and, like, you know, I'd rather just, again, go to a thrift store and be surprised by what I end up finding, or a used bookstore, whatever it is. So anyways, I will see you guys all in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love it if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye guys.